All right, welcome back. It's Indie Power TV, bringing you the greatest new artists in the world. We're taking it all the way up to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Very exciting new artist with a new album and a lot to say. Please welcome Zaf from ZAFIRIOS.
Hey, how's it going, Jay?
Doing great, Zaf. We're so excited about the new album. I know it's in the Sony distribution system, which is just an amazing feat, and we couldn't be more excited to let everybody know about it. So I know the album is called Summer Sand. Why don't you tell us kind of the story behind the album, who you got playing on it, where you recorded it, and what the Summer Sand concept is all about.
Well, I thank you. Well, it's exciting to be here. The story behind the album was some songs I started writing in 2013 as a songwriting project. And then these songs became part of the live act I started doing 2 years later in 2015. And after playing around live for 5 years, I decided I really want to get these in the studio and record them well, because I had a demo version, which was okay. I mean, it was good enough to get gigs, but I wanted to have them properly recorded, and they had been stage proof for about 5 years. So that was the time to get it into the studio. So playing on the album, I was really lucky. I had Brian Adams' rhythm section of Norm Fisher on bass and Pat Stewart on drums. And these guys are some of the top musicians in Vancouver. I think Pat is probably one of the best rock and roll drummers on the planet. And I played guitar and piano on a couple of tracks, and the producer Alan Roger plays piano on some of the other tracks. And I had this vision to record this onto 2-inch tape. So if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain. If you do, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound to drag it out a bit, but most recording now is done digitally. It's cheap. You can add as many tracks as you want, but I love the warmth from analog recordings and from 2-inch tape. So Alan found a friend named David Dewar, who has a studio in North Vancouver, that's a suburb of Vancouver. And we recorded there onto his 2-inch tape machine, and we used 24 track studio, maybe even less than 24 tracks. I mean, again, with digital recording, you can have as many tracks as you want, but I actually liked recording with less. And the bass, drums, and rhythm guitar were recorded live at the same time. Hardly anyone does that now. They track their bass separately or their drums separately and then put layer upon layer. But we decided to go the old school way. So if you listen to it, you don't get listening fatigue from it, and it sounds like a real band because a real band was recording on it.
Yeah, well, we all grew up in the past with analog recordings, and before digital, it was warm, and there was a lot of 2-inch, and there were tape splicing and a lot of expertise it took to make those records. And then with the advent of digital recording, it, like you said, it got real fast and cheap, and unfortunately it can be kind of cold and brittle and just doesn't have that warmth to it. And
No.
for forever people have been trying to find out how to balance it out, because a great singer-songwriter like yours with a voice and real instruments want to be kind of felt. You want people to feel the experience and not just hear it, but really feel it. And that's what you've done with a great analog recording. And I know you now have instrumentals, so the film and TV world have more to work with. And
Yes.
it's just amazing. Now, how did you get these players? How is it? Just relationships, or somebody turn you on to them? How'd that come about?
Well, I've been friends with Pat for a few years, we played a gig together in different bands. He played in an AC tribute band called Bon Red, and ZAFIRIOS, the band, was opening for them. And I stayed in touch with Pat, and I took a few drum lessons from him, even though I'm a guitarist piano player. And then we were hanging out, and I told him I wanted to record the album, and he was interested in it. And so he introduced me to Alan and Norman through the producer. The producer hooked me up with the engineer. So it's about relationships. That's how this happened.
Yeah, well, it's all about relationships and building a team, and you certainly have a great recording team, and I know now you have an incredible distribution and promotion team that really loves what they do, and lives and breathes to help get artists like yourself out there. And I've been lucky enough to visit Vancouver and British Columbia many times, going to college up there on the U.S. border, down in Seattle and Bellingham and Eugene and all those great places, Everett and all that. What do you think is special about, British Columbia? Because I know there's a lot of film and TV production up there now, and a lot of artists that are based there, whether they're Canadian born or have moved there. What do you see as the greatest part of the province there?
What you mean in terms of geography or mentality?
Really, all the above. What is the spirit? What do you feel that's kept you there as opposed to finding greener pastures elsewhere?
Well, for one, Vancouver is my hometown, so I have a network of friends and family. So there's that comfort. And secondly, there's lots of rain here. And with that rain, it forces you to be creative and have a way to channel your imagination. I mean, I love LA. I've had some great times down there. I've played down there, but when you're up here, it gives you a bit of distance and also perspective on things. And also with the internet now, you can be based anywhere in the world. So, but Vancouver is, I think, relatively clean and beautiful city. I mean, it's very green, but also with that, it does make you have to be creative.
Yeah, well, going back to the mid to late 70s, of course, the group Heart, came up living
Absolutely.
there, and most of them were Seattle kind of bred artists, the Wilson sisters, Ann and
Yeah.
Nancy, and those guys. But they had been living in Vancouver, and of course, Dreamboat Annie was recorded there. And I fell in love living near the border. I could listen to Canadian radio, and there
Yes.
was more artists that were being played on the radio than I could hear, in my local radio. There were artists, of course, that the, Canadian, community support. So I found it a very rich artistic community. And like I say, I know there's a lot of film and TV production there, but it's just very rich, with
Yes.
artists that are from there. Or of course, everybody travels through there, all the tours with the, everything from the beautiful theaters downtown to the Commodore Ballroom, legendary spot, to,
Love
your
that.
normal arenas and stuff in town. But
Yes.
I enjoy it much. Now, tell us about some of the highlighted songs on the album that really stand out to you. I know they're all your babies, so we won't leave any behind. But give us maybe three of your favorites and tell us a little story behind those songs.
Sure. Well, there's Dream Away, which is the lead off single. I wrote that on guitar just before dinner one time at a house that Tommy Chong used to live in East Vancouver. So there's a lot of creative energy in that house, whether you believe in vibes or energy, something to that house, which the song just flowed out of me. And then I started playing it, and then people started asking me, "Oh, who is that song? Whose song is it?" And I didn't have any lyrics, and we had recorded the whole album, and I just brought that song in last, and I had to write the lyrics a few days before going into the studio. So I had a notebook with some different lines of poetry, and I put that together and I played it for the band. And then the producer thought that's the lead off single, and that's the one where we have a video for. So that's one. I mean, it's probably the easiest song I've written. Another song is Pompeii, which I wrote back in 2013 when the songwriting project started. I worked at a food co-op in East Vancouver, and one of my coworkers would give me song titles, huge lists of them, and most of them didn't resonate with me. But then one day he said, "Zaf, write a song called Pompeii." So I went, okay. So I had this concept of what would Bo Diddley sound like if you were playing at Studio 54 jamming with Nile Rodgers. So I came up with the riff and then wrote the lyrics behind that. And so it's a catchy funk song, whereas Dream Away is an acoustic bossa nova number. And then I guess another song, which a good friend of mine really likes, is called Live for Pleasure. And that's kind of got a garage rock vibe to it, and about a woman wearing a mustard dress. And that was inspired by Chuck Berry's lyrics for Nadine about driving a coffee colored Cadillac, because I love songwriters like Chuck Berry, where you have a story told, and that's what I aim to do with my lyrics.
Yeah, well, I know you have a title track, Summer Sand.
Yes.
What is that song about, and why did you choose it to be the title of your album?
Well, that's based on when I started writing this song, I had this relationship with a woman that I tried to reconnect with, and it went south. But the one salvation of that episode, which was a little bit painful at the time, was I got the song out of it. And so the lyrics are about that. And then the melody is just a combination of Jimi Hendrix and Satie, and Eric Satie, this French composer. But it's about, just about a failed relationship and wanting to hang on to the past, but realizing that you can't do that. You have to let it go. Is Summer Sand your eternity, or just an empty memory?
Yeah, well, it's a tremendous
Thank you.
album. We recommend everybody to go check it out on Sony Distribution, of course, available on Apple and iTunes and all the great services. But it's truly a great work, and I know you're always working on new stuff. Where is the
Yes.
best social media or somewhere online that people can go to find out more about you or keep in touch?
Well, there's an Instagram page. Check in ZAFIRIOS. Instagram, ZAFIRIOS. And then on Facebook, there's ZAFIRIOS and then music. And let me see. I can send you the links for it, but
Yeah, we'll post them next
okay.
to the interview. Give everybody a chance to jump in and check out your music, and of course, plenty of places to hear it and purchase a download and support the artists. It's always important to support the creativity, and we
Yeah.
can't wait to follow up with you and chart your course and see your progress. It's a beautiful thing to see a creative person like you blossom.
Thank you.
Our special guest has been Zafy is the namesake. ZAFIRIOS is the band name, and the album is called Summer Sand. Please check it out online and support this great artist. And we can't wait to talk to you again. Thanks so much, Zaf, for joining us.
Thanks, Jay, for having me.